Okay, so this week it's a double parsha. Parshas Mates, Parshas Masei. So we're gonna uh, focus on the first verse in the second Torah portion. Can I borrow that for a second, Abraham?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't get
No, it's okay. I'll get back to you in just 1 second. So, in the very first verse of the second Torah portion this week, Torah is talking about the journeys the Jewish people took when they left Egypt until they arrived in Israel. So the Torah says these are the journeys the Jewish people took, and then the second verse it says, "Vayichtav Moshe es motzei maseim al pi Hashem ve'el maseim motzeim." Moshe Rabbeinu wrote their goings forth according to their journeys at the bidding of Hashem, and these were their journeys according to their goings forth. So, on the surface, the Torah is saying the Torah is Moshe is putting down in the Torah forever, in the Torah that is forever. The goings forth are journeys to where we went to. Motza'ayim and Masayim. We are going forth to go on a journey. We're leaving to go on a journey. But the Torah phrases it in a very funny way. First it says, goings forth before the journey, which makes sense because you go out to go on a journey. Then the Torah finishes the verse and says, so Moshe wrote their, and these are their journeys for their goings forth. I mean, if goings forth means leaving, and Motzei means leaving, so then it makes sense why it says going forth before journey. You go out to go on a journey. But then the Torah concludes that verse and says, and here are their journeys for their goings forth. It sounds like you're journeying to where you came from. What's going on over here? So the Alter Rebbe explains that the Torah here is not just referring to the journey of the Jewish people in the desert since their departure from Egypt until they arrived in Israel. The Torah is talking about the journey of the soul into a body. And the body is compared to Midbaram, and the body is compared to a desert. Just like the desert is a place where no one can live, so too the soul's coming into a body is coming to a very unfriendly atmosphere, analogous to a desert, a place where it can't live spiritually in the same kind of luxury that it lived in heaven. And so the Torah, with these words, is talking about the meaning of his journey and the goal of his journey and what allows us to be successful in this journey. So the first half of the verse, Moshe wrote down their goings forth to their journey. What's their goings forth refer to? Their goings forth refers to the source of the soul, where the soul comes from in heaven. Their journey refers to their arrival in this world and the various things that happen to the soul. It's interesting, the Baal Shem Tov says that the 42 journeys the Torah counts correspond to the entire span of history since from Egypt till the coming of Mashiach. And it also corresponds to 42 similar things that happen in every person's lifetime. And also correspond to 42 journeys that happen every single day. So these journeys are not just a historical event, but they are very much a description of who we are and what's going on. So the Alter Rebbe says, in order for this, yes, go ahead.
From Egypt to the time of Mashiach, or from the Gan Eden to the time of Mashiach?
Okay, so there is the way this verse is referring to Egypt to Israel. There's a way it refers to Egypt to Mashiach, and there's a way this verse is referring to going from heaven to this world, and until the soul goes back up to heaven. So that's the soul going from Egypt to heaven, from this world back to heaven. So let's say it this way: the Alter Rebbe says these are their going forth to their journeys. The Alter Rebbe says going forth refers to the source of the soul, and Moshe writing it down wasn't just an act of putting a pen on a paper. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to draw into the soul and the body its divine source By Moshe writing down the journey, he's able to draw down their source from heaven into the body. So although we're a soul in a body right now, and it seems we're completely detached from our source, Moshe Rabbeinu writing down these journeys, what that means is Moshe Rabbeinu brings the source of the soul in heaven into our lives in a way that empowers us to overcome the various vicissitudes of life to be successful. So to be successful, you have to be in touch with your source. That's what the Torah says. These are their goings forth to their journeys. You have to have your goings forth. You have to have your source. Motza'eh means your source on your journey. Moshe Rabbeinu connects us by the writing this Torah portion. He drew into us our source in heaven. What's the end of the verse? And these are their journeys to their source. These are their journeys to their goings forth. The author says that's referring to the conclusion of the soul's mission in this world, where the soul returns back to its source, goes back to heaven. But the soul's return is not merely a return to its original place. The soul ascends to a higher place than where it came from. As the famous principle, every descent is the purpose of an ascent. In Hashem's world, in Hashem's creation, there's no concept of a descent. If you see a descent in Hashem's creation, it's only for the purpose of an ascent. Every descent is for the purpose of an ascent. And the same is true even for our own mistakes. Every descent is for the purpose of an ascent. So the descent of the soul to a body, what is the goal of the soul's descent into a body? It's in order that the soul should ascend to a higher place than it was before. So the first half of the verse is saying, Hashem gives something from the soul into the body. These are their goings forth for their journeys. And then at the end of the verse, and these are their journeys for their goings forth. These are their journeys to get to their source. This refers to the soul's return to heaven, not just a return, but to an ascent higher than where it was before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what exactly does the soul achieve on a personal level when coming to this world? Of course, the soul achieves that it fulfills the purpose of Hashem in creation and brings Mashiach, and makes the world home for Hashem. But the way Chassidus classifies the soul's achievement is that before the soul comes into this world, the soul is like a tzaddik. I mean, once the soul comes in the world, the soul becomes a Baal Tshuva. So what exactly does that mean? What exactly is the virtue of a Baal Tshuva, and how does that connect to the soul's arrival to this world? So let's talk about an actual Baal Tshuva on a simple level, and that will help us understand how a soul's journey to this world is analogous to a Baal Tshuva. The Gemara says in Brachas that a place where a Baal Tshuva stands, a tzaddik does not stand. A tzaddik does not stand in the place of Baal Tshuva. Maimonides, the laws of Tshuva, quotes the Gemara, but he makes a bit of a change from the Gemara. He doesn't say that the Baal Tshuva stands in a place where a tzaddik doesn't stand. He says more. A Baal Tshuva stands in a place where a tzaddik cannot stand. And the obvious difference is that the tzaddik actually not stand there, or is it not even in the ability of the tzaddik to be in the place of a Baal Tshuva? So the Gemara says he just doesn't, he happens not to stand. The Rambam says he cannot stand. The reason why there's a discrepancy here is because there are two different qualities in a Baal Tshuva. And there's one thing that a Baal Tshuva has that a tzaddik practically doesn't have, but he has potential for it. And there's another advantage, another virtue that a Baal Tshuva has that a tzaddik doesn't have the ability to come close to. It's not even close. So what are these two elements in the Baal Tshuva? What are these two virtues of Baal Tshuva? One element in the life of Baal Tshuva is koy b'shes yitzur, the ability to conquer the Yetzer Hara. He tasted sin. He tasted the deliciousness, albeit temporary, albeit bitter in the end, but he tasted the taste of a sin. And for him now to discard that, it's a lot of friction, a lot of fortitude and energy and angst and frustration and ups and downs to resist those temptations that the Baal Tshuva was used to before. He's able to conquer that evil inclination and do the right thing. That's one advantage. A second advantage is the Rambam says that a Baal Tshuva changes their name. Baal Tshuva gets a different name. he gets a different name because he doesn't want to be associated with his previous deeds, and therefore the Rambam says he goes to a different place, changes his place, he changes his name. He wants to say, I'm not the same person as I was before. And Chassidus says that, the Gemara says you're not supposed to scorn about tshuva and say, hey, now you're in the synagogue and davening, and yesterday you were eating a Big Mac at McDonald's. You're not supposed to scorn about tshuva. Chassidus says the reason not supposed to scorn the Baal Tshuva is not only because it's low and it's unhelpful and embarrassing, but also because it's not true. The Baal Tshuva wasn't in McDonald's yesterday. Tshuva has the ability to completely change the person, make him a new person. So it's not only that the Baal Tshuva goes through the motions of pretending to have a new name, pretending to be in a new place. Through him doing tshuva, he actually becomes a new person. Tshuva actually creates a new entity. Tshuva actually causes him to be something different, something new. That the Tanya describes creation as something that is only in the jurisdiction, the power of Hashem. However, about tshuva has that power of Hashem, and he is able to create something new, become a different person he was before. Something that only Hashem could do. And Hashem gave this power to the Baal Tshuva. And we see this also in the fact that the Gemara says that about Tshuva, his sins turn into mitzvahs. He's able to create something new. His previous misdeeds, they're now considered mitzvahs. He creates something new. He changes something. So these are the two advantages of Baal Tshuva: resisting temptation and becoming a new entity, creating something new. These two virtues are different. The fact that the Baal Tshuva is able to resist temptation is because of the infinite bond the soul has with Hashem. Does the tzaddik have that bond? Every soul has that bond. The tzaddik doesn't need to exercise the power of that bond because the tzaddik doesn't have that same kind of challenge and attraction to not good things as a Baal Tshuva. As the, tzaddik doesn't have to exercise that strength. He has his strength. He has an infinite bond with Hashem, as every Jew does. But the tzaddik doesn't have to exercise. Can a tzaddik create himself anew? Can a tzaddik transform himself from being a completely wicked person to become a completely righteous person? That's not the ability of the tzaddik. The tzaddik has the potential to withstand temptation. Doesn't need to, but he has the potential. That's why the Gemara says the place that a Baal Tshuva stands, the tzaddik happens not to stand. He has the potential to stand there, but he doesn't actually stand there because he doesn't need to. But in regards to the second virtue of a Baal Tshuva, not the fact that he withstands temptation, but the fact that he creates himself anew, that's something that Hashem did not empower a tzaddik to do. That's a new kind of power that Hashem gave only to a Baal Tshuva, not to a tzaddik. So this is also in regards to, this will help us understand our question about the soul's descent to this world and why the soul's descent to this world is called the soul becomes about tshuva when it comes to this world. Every soul coming to this world is leaving a very friendly environment, living a very wholesome, beautiful environment of heaven, all other souls. And it comes to this world. So in this world, the soul has to withstand temptation. Even if he never actually makes a mistake, he's a Beinani, as it's described in Tanya, never made a mistake and never will make a mistake. But he does have a similar quality to the Baal Tshuva in the sense that he has to withstand temptation. As the Rambam says, that there are two ways of serving Hashem. There is chassid ma'ula. There is someone who is called a pious, virtuous chassid, who doesn't have the urge to sin. And then there is everybody else. Someone who has to consistently conquer the Yetzer Hara, do the right thing. So although the soul may have never actually sinned, the Beinani, but he still has the same quality of a Baal Tshuva in the sense he has to withstand temptation. And also, the soul also has a similar element in his life to the second virtue of the Baal Tshuva. A Baal Tshuva creates himself anew, and so too a Jew is meant, when it comes to this world, to create something new. He's meant to transform the Yetzer Hara, as it says in the Torah, love Hashem with all your hearts, in the plural. And what does that mean? To transform the evil inclination to love Hashem also. It's possible, and we're commanded to understand Hashem's goodness and the virtue of Torah mitzvahs in such a way that it makes sense to us that even the animal, the lower base elements in ourselves should also be excited about mitzvahs. That's something which is in the capability of everyone, even though it says in Tanya that not everyone can be a tzaddik, but everyone has the ability to, and that means your palate doesn't change. A tzaddik's palate changes. A tzaddik is disgusted by sin and all pleasures of this world. But it's possible to transform and convert and make a change in Yetzer Hara so that you actually are excited as a human being to learn Torah and do mitzvahs and to daven. So this is analogous to the second achievement of the Baal Tshuva. Just like a Baal Tshuva transforms his sins into mitzvahs, and he transforms himself into a different person, so too a Jew is meant to transform the Yetzer Hara. We can understand this more clearly by our own experience. Take a person who comes from a very religious neighborhood, very insulated neighborhood, and then that person is sent to he moves to another neighborhood that is very unfriendly. So if his Judaism is just predicated on his neighborhood, so then when he moves to a different neighborhood, he'll lose his Judaism. That's a reality. If that's what his Judaism is based on, he's going to lose it. But if he's able to withstand the new neighborhood, he's able to continue to learn Torah and do mitzvahs in that new neighborhood, that shows integrity. That shows real bond with Hashem. That shows that his Judaism is not just because of the circumstances, not just because of the environment, something which it shows a deep bond within him. But then there's a higher level. Higher level is not only where you're withstanding temptation, a higher level is where you're making an actual impact in your environment. You're actually changing the place that you are living in. This unfriendly environment, it's not a place of Torah mitzvahs. You go there and you actually teach people there about the mitzvahs that you're doing. You help other people put on phone, other people keep kosher, other people keep Shabbos. You make an effect, you make a change. That's analogous to the second quality of the Baal Tshuva. Not only is he withstanding the temptation, but he's making a change. And that's the power of the neshama coming to this world. That the neshama is not just here to withstand temptation. Neshama is here to make a panam chadashas, to give the world a new face, a new environment, a new light. And this is what the Torah tells us in this week's Torah portion. The Jewish people travel in the desert. When they travel, what is the desert? The Chassidus again says that the desert is a place of evil. Why is the desert a place of evil? The trademark of Kedusha, of holiness, is kindness. The desert is a place where nothing grows. The sand in the desert can't be used for anything to grow. Halachically, when an animal is slaughtered, you're supposed to cover the blood with earth. But you can't use sand, because sand is something which nothing can grow in sand. It's sand of a desert. So what that represents is that evil is something which is selfish, wants everything for itself, doesn't want to give to anything. It considers itself numero uno over all others, and therefore doesn't give. The desert doesn't produce, desert doesn't cause anything to grow, represents a place of evil. And the ark comes to the desert. What does the ark do in the desert? What's the purpose of the 42 journeys in the desert? The purpose is not just for that time and that space, but it was meant to affect in history the transformation of evil to goodness. It was meant to subjugate evil, and as a precursor for every Jew in this world to subdue evil and to transform it to good. So the Torah tells us when the Jewish people traveled, and when the Jewish people travel, and every Jew travels from heaven to this world, he is, first of all, Hashem empowers him before coming to this world, as the Torah says, the Gemara says, the end of chapter 3, in Nida, Gemara says, before coming to this world, you have to swear you're going to be a tzaddik. And Chassidus explains that oath is not just an obligation. That oath is an empowerment. You make an oath to Hashem that connects you to Hashem infinitely. And that infinite bond you have by making the oath to Hashem empowers you. That makes a connection between your soul and the body to your soul in heaven. And therefore, the super energy of your soul in heaven, supernal energy of your soul in heaven, is with you as a soul in the body. That's why the Hebrew word for shavua, oath, is the same as the word for satisfied, satiated. Soul satiated with energy. These These are their goings forth for their journeys. The soul's connected in this world to its source, to where it came from. But then the Torah continues and says, and here are Masei and Mitzayim. Here are their journeys to their source. By the soul coming to this world, the soul also is able to go back to a source that is even higher than where the soul came from originally, to go to a higher place. Because again, in order to create something new, that means you have the power of Hashem, who is infinite, the infinite power of Hashem, not just be able to, the soul itself has an infinite bond with Hashem. Okay, to resist temptation, fine. But then there is something that only Hashem has, and that is the ability to create something new. I mean, the soul comes to this world, and the soul not just resists temptation, but the soul strives, the Jew strives to make an impact on his environment. By doing this, the soul connects to Hashem in a new way, a deeper way than the soul had in its departure from heaven. The soul reaches a higher place. And I mean, their ultimate goal is not just the soul to reach a higher place, it's the soul gains. When you endeavor to make an impact in your environment, you're connecting yourself to Hashem himself, and you're creating something new, you're becoming a creator. But more than that, you're achieving Hashem's purpose in creation. You're satisfying Hashem's deepest desire, and therefore you're connecting to Hashem's very essence. And so the soul has its own benefit, true, but the ultimate goal is Hashem's goal, which is the coming of Mashiach, which began with the Jewish people traveling in the desert and concluded. We're now, as the Rebbe said, we're by the Jericho. We're by the, we're ready to enter Israel. We have finished the 42 journeys of history. And that's why the Rebbe said something amazing. He said, we're now able to achieve a different kind of love for each other than ever was before possible. Usually these 3 weeks are categorized with trying to rectify the sin of senseless hatred. And how are we supposed to rectify it? By showing love for each other, and thereby rectify the cause of the exile, which was senseless hatred. The Rebbe said it's more. Because we're so close to the coming of Mashiach, we're able to already tap into the aura of the coming of Mashiach when we're be like one family. And therefore to feel it right like one family. We're able it's not easy, that doesn't seem like an easy thing to do, but this is the reality of where we are right now. A friend of mine just told me that when he was a yeshiva student, he had one man in the yeshiva always got grated on his nerves. He and him always butted heads. And everyone in the yeshiva has someone that happens with. But when that person is someone part of the administration, it's a lot more complicated because you need the administration, and the administration has demands of you and stuff. So it can be very complicated. So he asked his mentor what to do. His mentor said to him, "You need to speak to the Prince of Ahavas Yisrael." He pointed him to. He told him to speak to a certain chassid which he considered to have a real Ahavas Yisrael on a high level. And this chassid told him this exact point: when the time of Mashiach, you start first. You just give love. And he said it had an effect. He has no how, there's no why, but all of a sudden the atmosphere changed. We tapped in the era of Mashiach, bring the era into us. The atmosphere changes. Made previously seem like a desert, but we can create something new. L'chaim, l'chaim. We should already be in Eretz Yisrael with Mashiach Tzedekenu immediately. Mamish, l'chaim.
Amen.
Go ahead.
Left field, but in these overcoming temptation, how do dreams figure into that?
That's what I was saying.
Because all of us have dreams, and oh my God, where am I? Kind of dreams.
Dreams. So I don't know. You need to open this for a second, please.